Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. In today's video, I'm going to review the Berlin Marathon 2022. First, I'm going to tell you a little about how I got here and why I'm running the marathon. Then I'm going to tell you how I think it's going to go. Finally, I'm going to tell you how it actually went. I'm making this video because I'm running the Berlin Marathon in 2022 and I wanted to show you what it might be like to run this particular marathon. So I'm going to go through preparations I made in advance, kind of kit I'm going to wear, where I stayed, all that sort of stuff. Then I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. Today's the day before the race. And then I'm going to run the race and I'm going to make a quick top up of how it actually went. And as always, there'll be chapter markers down below so you can skip through to the bits that you might be interested in. To begin at the beginning, today is Saturday. I like to have a rest day before the run on the Sunday. So I flew out yesterday morning. If I was flying to America, I probably would have flown a couple of days in advance, but Berlin is 2 hours away from Dublin. A quick, short flight. Like all these things, you start in the airport early in Dublin airport. There turned out to be no queuing. There's been all sorts of problems with flights over the summer. It's affected many countries, many airlines. Dublin has been no different, but I flew through security, dare I say, into the lounge in Aer Lingus. It was very busy down below. Very few people seemed willing to walk up the stairs where it was empty. It was okay, nothing special. And then got on the plane. It turned out that you had to walk to security, which is fine. And then you got on one of those buses that you get at every airport. And then we got off the bus. I thought we'd get on the plane, but no, we went into another building where we queued again. Then we went out the other side of the building and we were standing on the tarmac, the apron, for a while. And then probably about 5 minutes and then onto the plane. It was relatively straightforward flight, nothing eventful. I was sitting up the nose of the plane. I'll pay to go business class for a marathon because I'll get a bit of extra leg room. And it was in Germany. We were flying to Germany, so German flight regulations, we all had to wear masks, which is a good thing, really, I suppose. The last thing you want to be doing is catching COVID the day before the marathon. So we did that. They came around with the service, which turned out to be, they said, would you like a snack? I wondered what type of delightful breakfast I'd get. It turned out to be a Kit Kat, which I thought it was a bit shabby, but never mind. It didn't bother me particularly, but it was interesting. Got to the airport, bag came out, which was great. I always use a red suitcase because I can spot it coming off a mile away. And so that was good. Put an air tag in it just in case. But all my essentials come in my carry-on. So all the marathon kit that I'm going to be running in, any stuff I need like lube, all that sort of stuff is in the kit. And then I also put some basic filming equipment so that what I need or what's absolutely essential is always with me. The great thing about the Berlin Marathon is public transport is free for the weekend. It's very easy to get the train into town. I went into the Bahnhof. Bit confusing because there's mainline trains going down below. Then you want to get the suburban line trains up above, or I did, the S-Bahn. And then there's one of the underground stations. The signage is very, very confusing. There's very few maps because effectively you end up in a gigantic shopping centre. If I was deeply cynical, which I can be as a designer, as an architect, I think, well, maybe they didn't want me to find my way out, so I'd spend endless time buying things. Anyway, the S-Bahn is up at the top, the underground down the end, one line. The main station's down below. So that might be some help next time you arrive. But the app is generally good. There is a good app, but there's so many options that it's very confusing. But I'm only 2 stops away. I'm staying in the KPM hotels and residences. On the weekend of the Berlin Marathon, the hotels go up massively in cost. I mean, what would ordinarily be about $100 goes to about 300, 400. I typically use an app called Hotels Tonight, and then the prices go down towards the date. I wasn't so sure about it this time because there were so many people coming. All of the marathon discounted hotels were gone before I could even get online. So I waited a while. Eventually I went into booking.com and I found the KPM hotels and residences, which I have to say have exceeded all my expectations. It's costing about $300 a night, so including breakfast, but it's a very nice place. I'll show some pictures of it. There's lots of space. There's a small kitchenette, which I'm delighted with, so I can make my own food. There's a microwave, there's actually a cooker, there's a fridge, there's all that sort of stuff. Fantastic power shower, huge TV with all the kind of stuff I need to do. I could log on to my Netflix account if I wanted. Watched a baseball game last night. Really super. And it's on the Tiergarten. It's about 5 minutes walk from the Tiergarten overline S-Bahn stop, and right along very close to where the marathon starts and finishes. So ideally located for doing the Berlin Marathon, but my one tip is try and find places early. I got an early check-in at the hotel, checked in when I arrived at about 12:31, something like that. And then I headed straight for the Marathon Expo. It's huge. It's in an old airport. It's fantastic for someone like me who loves old architecture. It's fantastic. It's the old airport. And so you go down, very easy to get to on the train on the underground. And you go down and you end up you start in the old, what looks like the arrivals hall. The old baggage conveyor belt is still there. And you walk down, there's a series of large halls, which would have been maintenance or something like that. There's a very long queue, but it runs fast. It goes really fast. I mean, it's very efficiently done. You go through and you pass all sorts of different stands. And then you get through and you go up and you give because you've got an app and you can add something to Apple Wallet. All that was very simple. Get through the passport, get through the thing. That was really quick. They printed out there and then your number. The one complexity for the Berlin Marathon is because it's very well organized and they print the numbers out on a standard laser copier. But as a result, I think they don't have a timing chip in the number. They give you a separate thing that you have to attach to your shoelaces. Ironically, they don't show you any details about how to attach this to your shoelace. So I'm going to try and figure out the best way, which I'm only going to be able to figure out by looking at all the dudes at the start of the marathon tomorrow. And then I might make a little clip about how to do that. But you can attach it to your shoe easily enough. It's got holes in it, so it goes through the laces. So it goes very quickly. So you queue for that. Then you queue for, strangely enough, you get your finishing t-shirt before the race starts. So it looks to be two. There's a white one and a sort of olive one. I went for the olive one because the white one looks to me to be hideously designed. It's trying to say Berlin, but it's written in sort of cursive, but it's mixing upper and lowercase. So you have capital B, and then I'm guessing is some sort of small e, but it looks like an A. It's like B-A-R-L-I-N. That's what it looks like to me, Berlin. So I decided not to go for that one. I wasn't given a choice as it happens. Maybe I could have. But anyway, they gave me the olive one, which is fine. I went through. There was a giant Adidas stand. There was a woman shouting at this guy. It was great. I've made these videos where if you've seen anything, where I give out every now and then when I see a shoe and it's available only in pink for women and blue for men. It kind of gnaws at me slightly. I thought, maybe it's me, maybe it's just me. But this woman was having a real go at the Adidas dude because the shoe she wanted was only available in pink, and she was using exactly that argument. So I laughed and moved on. There's lots of stuff there, but none of it was actually of any use. There was a stride stand, but I've already ordered a new stride, so there was nothing they were going to be able to tell me. There's an on-running stand, but I was in on-running a couple of weeks ago, and even in on-running, the stuff they have isn't as good as the stuff you can find online. A few things here and there, but there was nothing there that I saw that I particularly would have spent a lot of time doing. So I would say get in, get your number, and get out. It won't be hard to find. There's thousands of people going from the tube all the way down and all the way back, and it is very well organized. Let's talk a little bit about the kit I'm going to wear. So on the way over on the plane, because I think that's just as important for feeling comfortable at the race, I wore the sleeveless version of this Soar, and one of the Soar running tops I have, and it's fantastic. I put my passport and my phone in here. There's a pocket at the back, which I can also use, and then I wear the sleeveless one when I'm traveling on the plane because I wear a t-shirt underneath, so if it gets hot I can take it off, etc. So very adaptable and also waterproof. It was a bit, if there was expecting light rain when I got here. Very comfortable jacket to travel in. I wore the Trank Smith light pants. These are really fantastic, very comfortable. I always wear running pants when I'm flying to a marathon. Very comfortable on the plane. And I wear these, my Nike Fly Ease super shoe to just hop in and out of if you're going to get into one of those security systems where they insist you take off your shoes. Some do, some don't. And comfortable for walking around town, etc. I like them so much, I'm always afraid of getting dirty. So I did check ahead to see if it would be wet or dry. The weather ahead, when I looked at it in Dublin, I kept looking. I'll show a series of screen grabs here, and I kept looking, will it rain, won't it rain, will it rain? Not that it was going to make any difference, it's going to wear the same kit anyway, which we'll come on to. So that wasn't going to make any difference, but I did want to see. Every marathon I've run so far has been dry. Conditions are predicted to be pretty much perfect tomorrow, possibly a little on the warm side. I think maybe 16, something like that. By the time it gets going towards the end, somebody told me it got to 24, I think a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year. So yeah, overcast, it's supposed to be. It rained lightly today. Anyway, it's going to be fine. Funny enough, if it rains, I found the pavements today to be greasy and slippery. So hopefully that won't be the case with the road surface, but I'm expecting the weather to be fine for tomorrow. So what am I wearing tomorrow? Well, I'm going to be wearing this, the ASICS Metaspeed Sky Plus. I'll probably bring my Stride foot pod. I won't use it for very much. I'm going to be doing a lot of the testing on the Garmin, but I'm probably going to bring it. I've ordered the latest version of the Stride foot pad, but I'll use this one. Really looking forward to running in this shoe. I've run several two, several. I suppose several's more than one. Marathons in its predecessor, and really looking forward to that. I'll put the links to the previous videos I made about other shoes. This is the funny shoe tab. I'll do a close-up of it at some stage, but I've put it into the shoes briefly. I'll test that running up and down the room. The socks I've already got in the shoe. This is the On Running mid sock. I'm wearing the mid sock because it'll get a bit of protection around my ankles, just in case. These ones are fairly new. I think I ran the Zurich Marathon in them. I ran 2 marathons in a red pair. Never had a bother with them. That's pretty good. I'll come on to the top last. I picked up this ASICS hat in Gelmeli in Zurich recently. I was looking for a white hat, beautifully vented, very lightweight, and this was very cheap. I think it was like 14 bucks or something. But yeah, I was looking for a new white cap. I have the Under Armour one, which I really, really like. But I think this one, I just decided to get a second one, and it's got a Velcro strap at the back, very easy to adjust when you're on the fly. So yeah, looking forward to those. I'm going to be running with the Garmin HRM Pro. When I first bought this, I thought I'd only do it for testing. I suppose the marathon's a big long test. So it's great. It'll send data directly to my watch. I have to plan what on the Garmin Forerunner 955 I'm going to want as a data screen. I might do a little update of that maybe tomorrow. But I am going to plan the data screens on that. I don't want to have too many because then I'm always flicking around and it drives me mad. I'm going to be running in the On Running lightweight shorts, 5 inches. They've got a pocket at the back that will snugly fit my iPhone. It'll be my iPhone 12 Pro Max. It'll fit in nice and tight. I've run in these before. Bought them last time I was in Zurich. Morton are sponsoring the race, so I don't have to carry as many gels as I ordinarily would. So I only need 3 gels, so I went for a lightweight short. I always insist on carrying the phone. I'll have to make sure I text my brother and sister tonight to let them know I'm running a marathon tomorrow, because somehow every marathon I go, my phone keeps popping off. I keep it live so I can take some pictures at the start and at the finish without having to wait for it to start and stop. But somehow or other, whatever settings, operator malfunction, I keep texting my brother and sister, or then they also get texts, they get voice calls, and all they can hear is obviously some old man panting as he runs along. And they pretty soon figure it out, but nonetheless, I'm gonna have to do that tonight. But the shorts should be pretty good. I'll also bring a mask. There'll be 40,000 people there. Hopefully we don't all be sharing our various, there'll be people with much more than COVID, and it'll be cold, there'll be all sorts of things. So it's probably handy in Berlin on public transport, etc. People wear masks. So I'll bring this with me. It's the Under Armour lightweight mask. It's a superb running mask. I have loads of them. And then lastly, what am I going to be wearing on my top? Well, I'm going to be wearing this. This is the Berlin 22 from Tracksmith. Usually I wear a Soar running top. I do like to try and vaguely at least match the colours, my green shoes and these green things. And I'm wearing Tracksmith because, well, I'm a serious runner. I'm really looking forward to running in them. I would prefer, I love the Soar running stuff, but I just didn't find one in a colour that I liked. So I'm going to be running in those. It doesn't matter if it's cold, doesn't matter if it's hot, that'll be quite good. I'm going to be, the Tracksmith, funny enough, it comes, I'm going to leave them on, but it comes with 4 safety pins in a sort of brass colour already there. But I will be using magnetic race dots, which I've used before, to pin my bib on. And those I'll probably start putting on fairly soon. They work brilliantly. They just work by magnets, hold the thing on. So if you spend a lot of money on tops, you don't want to be rushing through them with safety pins, or I don't. So I'll be doing those. I mentioned I'm going to use Morton gels. There is, typically I would take a gel. I used to follow Morton's plan on the internet, which was take a gel every 6 kilometers. And then I read a book. It said, don't follow that sort of plan. What you need to do is to take them at regular timed intervals. And I thought that makes a lot of sense because I don't need them. I probably need them as I slow down more towards the end. I mean, obviously you want them before you slow down, but it recommended instead take them at time breaks. So I'm going to take them every 30 minutes. I'm going to carry 3. Morton are the sponsor, so they have a certain amount available, but they're not available all the way through. So I have to, I think, carry 3. I'll work out the exact plan later. They'll fit in the back. Worst case scenario, I've actually run, I think in Chicago, I was trying to carry 6. So I ran with 2, 4 in the shorts. I have run a couple of times in some Satisfy running shorts. They were very nice, but I did find I got a bit of chafing behind on my, when the phone was bouncing up and down. Ideally I'd prefer a thigh slot for a phone, but, and I don't need to carry the room key tomorrow. I possibly will because it's not heavy, but I could easily get another one back in the hotel if I need to. And again, the hotel is a very short walk from the Tier Garden, so we're off in the Tier Garden tomorrow, and then I run very close to the hotel. I actually go sort of around it, not exactly on the street, but around. The course is a looped course. It's my favorite, is to do either something I can see very tall in the distance, like the Eiffel Tower or something, and run towards it. I'm looking forward to New York next year, hopefully, because I think that interests me. I enjoyed it in Arizona. I knew when I was doing the Buckeye Marathon, I was running always towards Tartesso, and I knew I was going in a straight line always towards the finish. This is 1 lap, which will be pretty good. It goes all the way around Berlin, lots of stuff to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I did laugh when somebody said Tier Garden. It's kind of thing, or that's the name of the start and finish. Or maybe I pronounced it wrong. It's certainly not spelled like the English tier, but it did make me laugh at the weeping now I might be doing at the end. So how do I think I'm going to do? What's my plan? Well, now that all depends. So my watch is telling me, it's funny, I'm running a Garmin Forerunner 955, and I got it relatively recently. And every week it's got 2 different metrics. So one metric here, I'll just go into it. It's giving me my VO2 max, and it's going to tell me as I scan along. This is telling me that I will run the marathon, well, it's predicting in 3 hours, 49 minutes and 25 seconds. And then if I go back and I go down to the same watch to where it's got its training plan, it tells me I go on the Berlin Marathon tomorrow at 12 degrees, it says. At 9 a.m. it starts. I think it starts 9:15. I better double check that. But it tells me that I'm going to be running the Berlin Marathon tomorrow in 3 hours, 44 and 15. My goal, according to what I must have set, was 3 hours 51. So I'll be very happy if I do 3 hours 51. And it seems to be giving me a lot of information about the temperature every hour. So I think by 12 it'll be 16 degrees. So anyway, so the Stride Foot Pod is over optimistic. I've run a number of marathons and it's predicted that I'm going to do times I never did. I'd be happy with either the times that are coming out of the Garmin watch. Both would be personal bests. I suppose loosely, the first plan is plan A, finish. Plan B, try not to be more than twice Eliud Kipchoge's time. It's wonderful to be running in the same marathon as the world's greatest marathoner. He's trying to break his personal best. I'm trying to break my personal best. I sincerely hope he does. I don't really care too much whether I do. As long as he wouldn't be theoretically lapping me if we were doing half marathon track. I'm hoping to come in. My personal best said earlier this year was 3:50, 3:10 or something. I originally planned not to try and break a personal best, but it's Berlin. Kipchoge is saying that it's the fastest track, so I might as well at least try and break my personal best. Look, it doesn't really matter. It probably matters maybe more next year when I turn 60 and the age categories change, and so that might have an effect on me. But I'm hoping to just enjoy it. Go out, run. Now, typically I go out too fast, and I always go out and I feel optimistic, and I think, Baz, this time it's going to be different. And, it never is. I go out too fast, and then I never hit a wall. I just slowly look at my watch. I'm going slower, and then I'm going slower, and I'm going slower still. This year in Buckeye, when I went, the training had gone very bad because I got a knee injury. And now training went well. I don't have any injuries. I have loads of niggles. Who doesn't? They're all tiny things. None I think are going to affect my performance whatsoever, but you never know. But I have a small niggle in the shoulder, and I had one in that shoulder. The knees feel okay, but we'll see. But I'm hoping to go out at about the same time in Arizona that I did where in Arizona I just went out and I felt comfortable within myself, and tomorrow I'm going to go out and try and see if I can just go at that pace and then hopefully hold on a little bit longer than I did in Arizona. If I do that, I'll break my personal best. If I don't, as I said, it doesn't really matter. I'd like to do it. But it's really exciting to be racing in the same race as Eliud Kipchoge. I'm going to get up in the morning at my regular time. Most marathons seem to me to start a bit earlier. This one's starting at 9:15, and I'm going to get us breakfast in the hotel. They have oatmeal or porridge, so I will definitely eat that. I had a banana again this morning. I'll have bananas. I didn't see any raisins, so usually have those. And I'll have Morton's, and I'll probably drink my own coffee. I brought my own instant coffee. It's freely available here, but anyway, I brought some. There's an espresso machine in the here, but I think I'm just gonna go with the tried and trusted, nothing new. I suppose the most important thing I have to remember to put on tomorrow is Gold Bond Friction Defense. It's my favorite lube of choice. It's I buy some every time I go to the States. It's really good, inexpensive, available in Walgreens and everywhere. I've also bought some on Amazon.co.uk. I'll put some of those on. I won't put on any sunscreen. It's not going to be that warm or that much heat exposure or sun exposure really. And I'll try and remember to hydrate properly. So race day's tomorrow. I'm not too nervous. I really don't know how it's going to go overall. I mean, I've got predictions on it, but I really have no idea. One part of me says, go great, you trained well, you trained better than the last time, you're mentally fit, you're physically fit. One part of me says that. Another part of me says, you fool, every time you think this, you go out and but look, it's Berlin, it'll be enjoyable, and hopefully I'll have enough energy to make a video tomorrow to let you know how I get on. So how did it all go? Well, as you can tell, I finished wearing my finisher shirt, and they obviously did giveaway. So on the morning, I was feeling I was very uncertain as to what was going to happen. I wasn't sure quite what I wanted to achieve, apart from enjoying myself. And I woke up and I was feeling a little bit bloated. I've been, I don't want to get too scatological on this. I was drinking the regular coffee that I have here in an espresso machine, and I decided to drink my own coffee. And after that, everything was perfect. I made some porridge here, and I didn't have bananas, I usually do, but it was fine. I felt good. I got up a couple of hours before the race, 3 or 4 hours, and made sure I ate plenty of time for the coffee to work its way through my system, and headed off. We're not very far from the start. I think we're about 6 minutes from the tube station at Tiergarten, and then wandered along. You'll see you pass the wonderful Victory Column, big tall statue you see very regularly in images of Berlin. And I took some pictures of people. It was great to see. There were the wheelchair participants, and then there was people on recumbent bicycles. That's what they looked like, and they were flying by. And very enjoyable, very easy to find the start. You kind of wander off into the woods in the wonderful Tiergarten, a huge city park, and you pretty much follow everyone. It follows down. There's so many people. I mean, you forget that in one of the big marathons like Chicago or Berlin, is how many people are going to be in the marathon. Very many is the short answer. And you just pretty much follow everyone. You go down by the Reichstag, you see all of the there's a very good zone at the end, alphabetical name letters, so you could stand there. I'd be S if I was looking for somebody, and then you wander through, and again you go through the woods. And something my big recollection of Chicago was lack of enough toilets. There's loads in Berlin, and they have what they had in Zurich. I think these should be mandatory throughout the world, is these toilets that men can just stand at and use. And you think, well, what about the women? Well, the great thing is it stops the men using toilets that could be used by the women, and you could say, well, look, they could just get more toilets. But it has another effect of it stops people, if you sit down, you make less of a mess, put it that way. So I think these things are fantastic, and they're everywhere, very easy to use, and right down to the pens just in front of the start, and they're right alongside. So very, very easy. All that stuff went really fantastically. I suppose everybody's always afraid of GI issues. I didn't have any. I haven't had any marathon I've done. I don't know. I think I'm going to have them, but this is beforehand. I think I shall have one this time. But no, I didn't have any. I joined the start probably up to about an hour before we were supposed to go off. The official start time's 9:15, but we went in various waves. I think we went at 9:35, something like that. There's giant TVs. You get to see everybody head off, and they announce everybody in the various different things. There's an inline skaters take part as well, which is unusual for a marathon, and then the various wheelchair athletes. And then it was great to see lots of people announced. It was wonderful to be taking part in the race with Eliud Kipchoge. It's even more wonderful. He appears on the medal. I thought that was super. I wonder if you'd won the Berlin Marathon and you weren't Eliud Kipchoge, how you'd have felt. But anyway, the greatest marathon athlete of all time, and just standing there knowing you're in the same race as Eliud was a huge feeling for me. It really was. And then there was a very nice piece on the TV screens where he's a very humble man, and he's standing there wishing us all best of luck in the race. It was just really nice. We went towards the start. I couldn't quite tell exactly where the start was, because you go through so many different screens and think, where is the exact line? But anyway, I found it easily enough. Just before I did, as we started to move, I thought, what the hell? And I nipped out and just went to the toilet again, emptied the tank, drained the spuds, as we'd say in Ireland, and headed off. And my initial plan was, I was going quite well. I really enjoyed the entire race. I mean, that's the first thing, is I enjoyed every single second of the race, and I was determined to enjoy it, and that led me to do a number of strategies. So I was going, and anytime I went faster than 5:20 at the start, which I could see a few times, I slowed back. I was trying to go at about 5:25, but I slowed back. And then when it started to go a bit pear-shaped towards the end and run out of a bit of juice, I tried to speed up. But I didn't try very hard. I went along, and I decided I was just going to really enjoy it. Lots of kids stick their hand out and you slap their hands. That was really very nice. I mean, it was very nice. They did that in Zurich. I remember in Zurich, they speak Swiss Deutsch, and everyone shouts hop, 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 hop at you, which is great. It didn't happen here. I don't know whether it's a different dialect or whatever. But anyway, the net result is people were quiet, but it was really nice. There was lots of support throughout the way. I saw some people with an Irish flag. That was fantastic. I went over and thanked them. There was other Irish people cheering later on, and there were so many nationalities. It's just great. And I mean, to know that you're in a race and the man out the front is leading you, and you're all following like the Pied Piper of every nationality that I could think of or see. And then the idea that this city has been through a traumatic, probably one of the most traumatic events of the 20th century, it gave me a bit of hope for everything. So I was really enjoying all that, thinking about those things as I went along, looking at how the various people that tied that thing onto your foot. I'll show a picture on my Asics. It turned out there didn't seem to be any particular way. Everyone had a different way of doing it. It was never going to fall off. I was just worried that it might dig in or hurt. It didn't. I made a last minute change to my kit. Right before I left the hotel, I realized that I was going to be using Morton gels. Morton make fantastic products. I've had no GI issues. They're really good. The only thing is they're bland. I mean, I hate all the other ones because they're sugary, but anyway, I can't really take all the Morton, but it turned out that they were giving the drink mix and the water mix at all the earlier stations, and I thought there's no way I could just chow down on that or sip the drink mix. So I decided to carry the gels. They weren't giving out the gels until I think kilometer 27, and I needed one roughly every 6k. Every 30 minutes I took them, and so that I needed to carry some. So instead of using the on shorts, I have a problem with my arm, and reaching back, that's actually quite painful. I thought I might have trouble getting them out. I also brought, ever since Chicago, I've brought dude wipes everywhere. Where are they? They're here. I've never even opened the packet, but I bring them just in case. Let them rip, they say. But I did that. The Gold Bond Friction Defense. I was going to show a picture earlier in the video, but fantastic stuff. I probably didn't put enough on my nipples, but it wasn't particularly bad. And these are the on-running shorts. I actually brought these just to use in the sauna. They're full of salt, obviously, but they have there's a liner So there's a liner here, and it takes all the gels. I put 4 gels in there, and the phone on the other side, really good. I often use Under Armour liners. There was a guy running actually, and he was only wearing what I call underwear anyway. It was fine, it's Germany. But these are fantastic. I actually brought them just to use in sauna. Very comfortable. I don't run them very often. I'm going to do it a bit more. Very stretchy. I'm going to get the next version. And they have pockets as well, so you could pop stuff if you needed. And a zip thing at the back. I did bring the room key. It's just easier than queuing at reception when you get back and you're knackered. I wasn't knackered, as I haven't. But yeah, so all of that went really well, all ready for the start and all the way through. I tailed off. I always tail off. I think my final time was, let's see, 3:53:10 I did in Buckeye, Arizona. But when you look at the GPS track, I did that 42.2 on my course. Exactly, you're out in the middle of nowhere, no buildings, etc., etc. And it was a small marathon, and I'm always one to, I will pick a line, but in the Berlin Marathon, there are so many people that you can't even see ahead as to what the straight line is, unless you're Elliot, of course. You could, then you could, but I couldn't figure it out. So a lot of times, say you're running around the victory column and you know you want to hug it tight, but you can't, you go around it. So my GPS, I think after the first kilometer or so, first 2 kilometers, I was out by 0.25 kilometer, which is pretty much to start off with. It got better. I think the end on my watch was 46.6 or something kilometers. I'll flick it up here, or 42.6. So it kind of, I went a longer distance, but it was fine. Again, I was just really enjoying myself. Sometimes there was roadworks, you couldn't quite get over to the lane you wanted, and you don't want to be chopping up people. I mean, we've all seen a bit of that. One thing that I found surprising, there weren't too many people in funny costumes. I was thinking of Chris running in London in a few weeks, and everyone would be in funny costumes. Good luck, Chris, by the way. I presume you're not running one of the funny costumes. But there was a guy running as a Brandenburg Gate. There was another guy carrying a giant log. Oh my, I mean, a really heavy thing, like the things that was in the video that I store stuff here on. But literally a log of a tree, about that long. I presume he was swapping arms every now and then. I saw a guy in a dress suit, but wearing a pair of alpha flies, and somebody else in a kid's, like, in a Catholic thing, a Holy Communion, a girl in a dress and a guy. They looked fantastic. But they could clearly run. But it was great. It was very enjoyable. When I started to run out of juice, I'll show some of the metrics from the Garmin. I mean, the pace dropped off. I mean, typically it started to drop off to the 6 minutes, and I had 1 or 2 bad kilometers. Probably more laziness than anything else. I set up the watch to do, and I wore the Stride connected to the Apple Watch. I never looked at it. At the start, I looked at the start because I got a note from Runners Need saying it's marathon season. Have you bought, or something like that? And I thought, oh, there's timing for you. And then I had lots of data screens set up on the Garmin, but I only used the one with pace. I never looked at my overall time until about 200 meters to go. I didn't want to be a slave to the time. I just wanted to go out and run. Yeah, I could have put a bit more effort in the last couple of kilometers, but I was just kind of enjoying it. You know, you get into this kind of looking around, and at that stage, someone had shouted out as we went by that Eliud Kipchoge had broken the world record, and that was just fantastic. I mean, I didn't want to, make him feel shabby by me doing a personal best and him doing a personal best. I thought, no, let's not take away from. It was fantastic. The idea, I mean, I think a few people have posted in Strava, the idea that you're running in the fastest marathon race of all time. And I mean, obviously we didn't see Elliot. I gave him a head start, obviously, but we didn't see him. I mean, I didn't see him. We saw, actually, it was great on the TV. You could see him at 5K in going, and again, that was really nice because they showed that just before we started off because it's in waves. And but yeah, that was fantastic. So you come to the finish line, you come around, and you're going to the Brandenburg Gate. You don't quite know how much further on it is, but you know it's further on. And we went through that. That's very I suppose ceremonial, very nice to do. We went through that, and then you cross the finish line. I didn't get a sprint up. I thought I might, but there's so many people. It's actually, you're never alone. There's always people there. They're never in the way. There's plenty of space. But it was really good. I just couldn't take the 7th Morton gel. I just couldn't face it. Again, they're great, they're really good, but the blandness, it was just, I kept, and also one thing I think about one suggestion I'd have to marathon organisers is, apart from the mandatory dudes toilets that there should be at every single marathon to speed things up for everybody, and the modesty, I don't think it matters too much. Nobody's visible to anybody else, so it was all fine. You can see what someone's doing, but that's about it. But they would make a huge thing in all the marathons. And then the other thing that drives me bonkers is, this was driving me bonkers all the time. You go along and they've got water, and they make a big thing, rightly so, about taking the cups and recycling them, and I'm all for that. So that's really good. But they don't put bins maybe 200 yards after you pick up the water. No, the bin is like 10 yards or 15 yards after the water. So you have to gulp it down and throw it there, instead of just being able to go sip it, and then put it in the trash. And the same is true of general litter bins. It'd be great if there was a giant one just every now and then, because I was taking my gels every half hour, not every station. And so I needed to anyway, I found litter bins alongside the road. It wasn't a big deal. And again, it was a very enjoyable marathon. There were people running in these t-shirts, and they sort of gave a profile. I'd see it on Strava, and it looked like there's a hill somewhere in the Berlin Marathon. There's a hill, but I didn't find it. I looked at it in the Garmin. Again, I'll show the data. I have no idea where the hill was. It's the most insignificant of hills. Any of you who've run the Chicago Marathon know there's a big deal made of the hill at the end, which is like an overpass over the railway tracks. I think it's not a hill of any description whatsoever. But the Berlin Marathon is, I finished, let's see, 3:53:10 was my time in Buckeye, my personal best, set earlier in January. I did 3:53:40 something here. I wasn't bothered. I really just switched off and zoned out and just thought I'd run it. I mean, if I accounted for the fact that I actually ran more per GPS, it's a zero-sum game. I was really happy. When you cross the line, one thing they did, which I thought was fantastic, I mean, really fantastic, is they don't just give you the medal. It doesn't work like that. Oh no. They stand there and you come up and you bow your head and they put the medal on. And I thought that was fantastic. So shout out to all of the volunteers for the Berlin Marathon. You can't run this on just a couple of people who show up for the weekend. This takes thousands of people all year round. Most of them, I'm guessing, volunteers, and just a big thank you for all of them. Everyone was pleasant the whole way, and people were very nice. And one thing they do, I think in one of the Chicago races, they had your nationality on your bib. And I think they could do that because they have some sort of color printing mechanism with the chip in, and whatever way they do it in Chicago. In Berlin, they do it differently, and you've got that shoe chip thing that you hand in at the end. I never did discover a really great way of tying it on. It's easy to tie on. And I handed it in at the end, so I was going to test it, anyway, we won't be bothered. But what they do in Berlin is they print out the thing in black and white, but your name is on it. So as you run, lots of people say, good job, Barry, keep going, Barry. And I'm guessing a couple of things in German. But everyone, it's Germany, everybody pretty much speaks English, or enough English to get by, and people are very helpful. And you can choose to either get a plastic bag to store your stuff in, or you can get a poncho afterwards. And I recommend the poncho. Here they are. They look great. I'm not exactly sure what I'll use it for, but anyway, it's great as a souvenir. So yeah, I took part in the fastest marathon of all time. I ran enjoyably. I mean, that was the big takeaway I had from it. If you're trying to set a personal best, this is a fantastic place to try and do it. It's been done twice by Eliud Kipchoge, and it's magical. He makes it look so easy to when you see somebody running faster than anyone's ever run in a marathon before, crossing lines. One thing I noticed, because I saw a clip on YouTube later on, was how high his legs were kicking. And he crosses the line, and he's got a great smile. When I look at my data, all the data was fine. I just tailed off. I could have done it better. my stamina seems to have gone from 100 to like 1 fairly just at the time I was running out of energy. I don't know what that means. When I do a few more marathons wearing the Garmin, I'll have a bit more data to try and compare. The cadence was high, it was pretty good all the time. My stride length was okay. I just ran out of juice like I always do. But this time I kind of knew it was going to happen, and I was kind of happy, and I still ran as fast as I think I would have gone, and even if I'd put in a bit more effort in the last couple of K, I'd have saved a minute off or something like that. Nothing that would rewriting wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. So yeah, I'd encourage everyone to do the Berlin Marathon. It's wonderful. Get your hotel sorted out early on, and just enjoy taking part in what is the fastest marathon in the world.